Wow. I cannot hear you. Hear you. Uh,
Okay, now, yeah,
yeah.
what's wrong with the headphones? Because the gang was not moving, so I was like, okay, something's
Um,
wrong. I feel like my headphones like started to glitch a little bit in the last few months. It's
oh,
been like 4 years, and sometimes like you can change the noise cancellation level, right? And when you do that, like just sound stops, for example. Just really weird, and I have to restart it.
really?
Yeah. So
Yes.
it might be that it's going to die sometime.
Oh,
Hopefully not soon, but sometime. But yeah. So yesterday I went to opening or showing. It's too bad that they didn't really promote it to a lot, like from STL, the house.
how many people were, I mean,
There are quite
for how
some.
long?
Like I
For how long was the thing running yesterday?
so it started at 6 officially and ended around 10. And the talk was at
Oh,
7:30, so like in the middle. And when the talk was happening, I counted people and I think there were like 25, a bit
okay.
more. I mean, including like the people from the house, I think. So the guests were like 20, 21, 22, something around
But
that.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's bad if they were just like 10 people.
For the final showing, yeah, it's not like what we did. So,
Yeah, because
but
what ours was a work in process. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
But for example, like they didn't put up a poster, which was kind of, they could have done something, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's their business.
Yeah. And
And
how was
also,
it?
yeah,
I mean, how can you describe it? Because I saw some images, also
yeah.
sound.
So actually, now I was just reflecting a little bit because so I had a different experience from the visitors because I was already at the house to help a little bit. I mean, I did not, I mean, didn't in the end help anything. I just bought some snacks. Maybe that's the most helpful thing I did. And also handing in questionnaires when the visitors came. So I was already there, but when the visitors come, they get a sheet of paper which says, actually I didn't read it, so I don't know what's on it, but I think it has the description of the work. So basically it
You don't
explained.
have a copy of that paper? You didn't took it?
I completely forgot about it because I didn't think it's important, but now like this morning I thought about like, oh, like actually that had some important information and I
I think
should
that's
have read
very
it.
important. Yeah, I think that's very important, especially in this context of interaction and gathering information of
Yeah,
how. So now to fail completely.
exactly. But actually that was interesting because I see it from the, like kind of pure perspective that I just saw the installation. And then
Okay.
during the artist talk and talking with the artist, I got the idea. So I can guess what on the sheet, but everyone came to visit. They read it before experiencing it.
Before, okay. So
Before,
they asked,
exactly. That's
they asked before entering the experience to read the thing.
exactly. That's
Did you
kind of,
go? Did
yeah,
you? It's a pity that you did not. Maybe you can ask Max if he can send you a PDF because I
yeah.
would, and then you can forward to me because I want to understand how kind of like how much. Oh my God, the Comanche. What's that? Oh, the Conan, like they're rabbits. I can see a rabbit running in the so cute. Sorry. Um, yeah, I was trying to understand how much are they asking somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, how big is the text? I would like to know
Mm, right.
because it makes sense, but I don't know if it's 2 pages, it's too long. I mean, I would
No,
like
what
to.
I saw is just one sheet and it was like not really dense.
Okay.
So you could, read it in like 1 minute or less, probably.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I want. Okay. That's give me an idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then the people come and then they receive this paper. There's basically that paper is the onboarding. No, it's like, but
Yeah.
this is what it happens, and then you go inside, and then what is what you see in how can you describe the space?
So it's actually kind of staged. So their audience like sitting at the back, and one person goes to the stage to interact with it.
Oh. And then if there is because we went to see no, you were not in that performance, no? You didn't went to see that performance with us.
No, with STL,
Okay.
no.
Okay, no, so then I cannot wait, yeah, yeah.
But it was like really like a classical like theater
You
situation
have
that
seats, so you have the seats at one side
one side like facing
and then
the stage,
right. Okay.
and on the stage at the back there's a projection. So you could see, I mean, as an audience, you could see the performer and the projection at the same time, right?
Okay.
Like really like classical projection on the stage, like, and the lights were like surrounding the stage,
Mm-hmm.
which was quite nice.
But then what happened like if you go say like you go into the space, you interact or you do something with installation, then you go and sit in the audience if you want.
Yeah, so how it works is like you go in and it kind of like start to record your movement. There are like webcams with the infrared tracking. I mean, like basically like infrared cameras,
Mm-hmm.
but webcams basically. And it will register like while it's recording, it's not doing the projection, but it's triggering the lights around the stage. So you could see like like kind of projection of the shadow, but like analog way, because it's just like a DMX lights around the stage. So kind of Olafur Eliasson kind of installation, like just like light installation. Why are you moving? There was no
Mm-hmm.
projection. And when you're done, it registers I mean, so with the recorded movements, it will compare with the bank of recorded movements in the past. So the past visitors, and find what's the closest. And then it start projecting the video of what was happening now and what's the closest one in the past.
Next to so side to side.
No, it will do it like sequentially, but you could see it like the current one is like a with a white background. It's like a look
Okay.
like a negative of a photo, and then
Okay.
the past one is like the background is black and the body becomes like bluish, I think. But you saw it in the Discord,
Yeah.
like
Now that
like
now that you see it, okay. Wait, but then I didn't understood this. So in the case that you were going inside, you do your stuff, then there's people watching you. I mean, when you finish, you can go and sit.
yeah. So it's really free. Like people can be in and out. I mean, on in this like audience, like you can just watch or you can move and then go out to watch. It's really free how you do it. But I was quite um, surprised that quite a lot of people stayed there just to watch.
Okay, so then it is so if I understand, then after you do your thing, you can go and sit and watch if I mean what is happening with other people coming inside.
Yeah,
Ah, okay, that's interesting. That's interesting because I mean, from my understanding, because there is especially because of the space, no? The space is a theater, no? So then you become, I mean, there is the stage, no?
yeah,
So there is this element of being observed by a pub by an audience.
yeah. Which is quite
Um,
harsh, right? Because some people don't want to do it because
yeah.
everyone's watching you.
But like, is it a surprise when you come in that that's happening?
So I don't know. I haven't read this, onboarding, the briefing, not briefing, the other way around. Yeah, briefing, like the sheet. So I don't know if it was written there, but I think not everyone expected. And also, like sometimes it's like crowded, and there's no waiting queue, so you don't know. It's really like a hip hop dance. Like I was thinking about the hip hop like battle, like when you have like a circle and someone goes in and do the moves and then go out and then the like, next one comes in. It felt like a little bit like this, that you have to kind of play by ears.
I think it's like I found like from a dramaturgical point of view very interesting that that element is there because it generates conflict naturally.
Mm,
The audience, the spectator. So I'm very curious of that in terms of intention from the creators. I found it's like dramatically proposes tension. That yeah, there is something very interesting there. But then also I'm thinking that if the project or if the focus of the project maybe it's not Max project, but if say in the project of what I understand Molina is their interaction. Say like if if as a creator your intention is that the people move more, then I will move less if I know that people are watching me.
mm. You mean to encourage
Yeah,
movement,
yeah, to
if that's the.
encourage people because especially when you go to a theater and then I mean, especially there's people who are more open, but what if one people really want to show off and is really good dancer and is right
Mm,
before you
yeah.
or after, like then it's yeah.
Yeah, like this is, yeah, that's like, I think it's an interesting point that I was also thinking about, because like Max was actually saying in a talk that he was not like kind of designing experience for dancers specifically, because people coming in, not everyone's dancer, so you can't expect that everyone's doing like crazy moves or everyone's comfortable to be on the stage. So that's something he was mentioning. But in the end, I think how the installation was presented, I feel like it's really staged, and it's really, yeah, like could be like not welcoming for people who are shy to move.
Because I mean, we did this. This is what I will put in the category, and that was actually kind of my idea when I think about the workshop performance. I'm pretty sure this idea exists from before, but the first time I hear it, it was because I mean, when we proposed this workshop at PAF with Gabriel and with the people, and at the end, then we have this result. There was a performance there, so for
Mm,
me, it was like after that, I was reflecting that that was actually, and it was partly because Gabriel was joking that we were that they were working for free
mm,
because the documentation it was very interesting. Like the people really got engaged into something. There was a lot going on within the ethos that we propose. So there was a performance there. So there was
right,
labor on the audience. Um, and that's what I call a workshop performance because then the participators of the workshop are performing. So there is labor on, I mean, the aesthetic of the performance is thanks to the visitors. Like I mean,
right.
the workshop. I'm speaking in the case what we did. And what we did was because there were people in the workshop, then there was a performance. Um, so I'm thinking that I found that interesting in say in the way how you describe what they're doing with Max and Cecilia. But then I'm thinking also, like I mean, specifically what I guess I'm trying to unpack a bit. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying that it's interesting to talk about it. Is
Mm,
this idea of labor?
I see. Well, in terms of like a workshop performance thing, like I feel this is more common. Like for example, if you look at workshops at improve stunts, like not just like workshop, but there's like research projects, right? More like how to say it's closer to what we do because it's not like they're just offering, but I think also the workshop leaders or the teachers, they learn from this process because it's really like open-ended in some of these research projects. And it's also like for them to try out something new. So it's not just, you have the material already and okay, let's do this exercise, that exercise, and the
Right.
participants learn something. But actually, it's more like workshop. I mean, the leader is leading, but they are also learning from the process. So, and also like I know that, for example, like Doris Ulrich, she was doing this research project, and also her performance More Than Naked came out of this like workshop. Like the performers are from the workshop participants, and they have been touring. So, you know, that's like really close to what we do, I think.
But I mean, I think like I will put it like in more in simple terms. My understanding is like in dance, I guess in acting also you can do it. But in dance, it's like you can separate like dance from dance technique as a workshop, and you can do like research,
Yeah.
which like I think in the past, like this idea of art research is kind of accepted in academia is not really new. I mean, it's not really not so old. Like I started hearing from these things, I guess in 2000 from the time I am arriving in PAF, people are start speaking of these things. I guess that
Mm.
people are talking of that before, but now their masters on are called because masters and MBA, and I think now they're masters research based. So they're now
Okay.
B, which
Okay.
is something that I just crossed a few months ago. I started seeing, so they're masters and now they're calling themselves master research base,
Like
where you
as opposed to practice based.
no, because a practice based, I don't know, I don't know. No, it's as opposed to a master's,
Okay.
because in a master's, then you receive classes, like so you have teachers.
Yeah, I think it depends on the fields, but yeah.
But then, so I think the main difference of this is like this is more like more close to a PhD in the sense
Mm,
you have more of people who help you to guide you, but you are researching. I
yeah.
mean, you are doing a research. Like in your master's, you will do a research, say for your master from your thesis, but you have classes. You have to follow classes. In the master research base, you are doing the research. You are researching for the period of the masters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I'm saying, what I'm saying of this is like I was mentioning because this I just saw it just a few months ago that I was quite surprised that you can this idea of a research art art research is kind of new instead of like in science you have this idea of you do research in academia and in science.
I mean,
um
that's a fundamental thing,
yeah, but so like but then in arts
right?
I just hear it, this is a kind of a new thing, or at least in the information that I got, this is a
Or
new.
or maybe like they're just kind of reframing it because I mean, art research in art has been there, so like they're just trying to promote it in some way or like explicit way. I don't know because people
Yeah,
people don't understand it, right? Like layperson
but
who
it could be. I mean, without getting, I think I don't want to go too deep into this discourse, but my feeling is this part of like a neoliberal way of put things into boxes. So it's like this thing, art is art research by nature. Um, but now then I guess it works in general also for the public that people can have access to direct things more concrete
yeah for the public.
title in certain university. So I mean that's I think in a low level I think that's a consequence of the neoliberal model to pack things, make ready to give
Yeah,
to some.
totally agree. So about the installation, like why were we talking? But so another point I want to make is so because the installation was staged in such a way, it makes sense for like dance context to present it, for the dancers to try it out
Right.
more than, you know, random people, because the aesthetics of the work really looks like, audiovisual installation, like
Yeah,
new
it
tech
looks
kind
very,
of.
very,
I mean,
very
they come
hi-fi.
from that background, so I totally get it. But I think it's an interesting, bridge between this kind of audiovisual and the dance, because for sure it's more than, like doing like this in front of the Kinect and something happens, particle moves. But as a dancer, you could really understand the experience. I mean, I saw that a lot of dancers were like more engaged in that like interaction yesterday. So it could be interesting to bring, like, for example, like in Busan's, where there's tons of dancers in the city, and just like having this installation up for like a week. I think it's could be really interesting, like to see what's going to happen, because they are also not really used to this kind of aesthetics or like installation for the
Right,
dance perspective. For new media people, it's probably not something new. I mean, the way of using AI is probably like, something new, but as a aesthetics, it's probably something you're used to. But in like impulse dance or contemporary dance people, it's something new. And you can also engage by dancing, which is quite interesting. I haven't seen that kind of like bridge
then,
before.
but then I think that I think it's a matter of intention, no? Like then
Mm,
is if this could be completely, as you said, would be very interesting, and then would be um if the creators like then assume that or recognize that what their work is actually for performers, then they can just um they could target it like that because uh I mean I'm not saying that they wait, what I'm saying is that maybe that could be like as a feedback on them, no? Like it seems that it has so much potential for movers or people who are more actually comfortable in these environments and that can actually be a framework where things can go from there. That could be very interesting. So what you said, like, I don't know, bring it to a festival on dance or other things. But then also you clarify as director or like programmer, then for for who is this not? And then when you know for
mm,
who is this not, then I mean that's the whole point when you're working with designer is like when you create target audiences is because it's the best for everyone, for you as creator and also for the people who get something. So when people proposes niches to work is because it's better for everyone. Like
right.
then
Instead of
because
like targeting everyone from the
no, because
beginning.
then it's just like in that sense it's just yeah, then it's better like exactly like you cannot just work for everyone.
Right. That's why we need the personas, for example.
Yeah, yeah. Or if you even if you work when you decide to work for this the Grand Public for like I call it in French Grand Public, then that means just like for everyone. I guess that's more a term that refers like it's family friendly, you know.
Mm.
Um,
But still, that's like,
but
you have to target the family anyways.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like it's different if you target then certain people, and
Mm,
then the decisions are easy when you have to take decisions. I mean, this is part of when I mentioned yesterday, we have to talk in a way to start like to when we have to have this conversation about budget and then decisions that you have some kind of that's why countries do, I think, when you have policies and mission of the company, is because when there are decisions to be taken, you don't have to put a meeting. You normally have alignments to go you have a policies of the year or what is the most relevant of this year and then just you take decisions.
mm,
So what I mean is like when processes are complicated I'm putting the example of a country because it's very complicated but so it's a system but with a lot of people but in a performance also it's a system, no? And then um, if you know more or less what are your intentions, then when you have to take decisions, fast decisions, then based on your alignment or your politics, I will call them, you don't spend too much time in deciding what are the decisions and you just take them.
Mm.
Yeah, interesting. I found that this, I mean, when I saw it, I thought the aesthetic looked very audiovisual, like
Yeah,
live audiovisual, like, and the sound looked very sci-fi,
right.
but with the component of the stage, which is very interesting. Because normally when you have like when I have experienced these audiovisual live performances, like you sit, you know, like you sit and you observe, and mostly you are mesmerized for this because the sound is very, yeah, it's very is a delight to see the visuals and the sound are very, so it was kind of like this when I saw the images, but then you have also the space for you to react to that.
Yeah. Also, like I found it their process interesting. Like for us, like when we were doing the residency, we were kind of like mixing, the practices or like tasks. Like sometimes we have to do our own tasks, but mostly like we're working together. But for them, it's more like really like divided clearly, like the visuals and tracking. Max was doing sound. So basically, they have like clear roles between them. Celia, Louis, Max, and also William was doing and also Andrea was doing that texture generation and stuff. So in that sense, it's quite
Andrea was
efficient.
doing what?
The texture, something with the texture generation. I think it was not used in the final version, but if you go to Discord, she was producing some images from AI. I don't know like how this thing works, but she was
Right.
using some AI model to generate images. Anyways, but I think I felt like it's really like functional the way you know, the installation, is clear what it serves, and also the way they work is very like functional, efficient. It's not a criticism at all, and it's actually good that it worked for them that way because, um, yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. I see like this is the kind of thing that I can see like like in Ars Electronica or in big festivals. It
Right,
looks very good. It has a very good looking.
exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, so it's like I think this is true. Like it is something that it kind of check the boxes to put it in these festivals, but at the same time, I don't know. I guess I have just more this critique with when things are good aesthetically because I don't know. I don't think when things are good aesthetically that they necessarily contribute in a long term for a discussion.
Mm,
Um, so that said, like for instance, to bring this into like the performing arts or like especially like say like dance frameworks, that's interesting.
mm,
The like so then putting away like the general public, then because then there are possibilities of
right.
exploring things. Um, but then you have to limit. So then you limit a bit. I mean, then you limit it into dancers. Um,
Mm. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I
no,
feel like I see it like a tool. Like I mean, it is artwork, but like a tool that
no, I get
serves
your comment.
something, and people can talk about it. Because also like in the artist talk, it was kind of missing, the context or like a concept, why they're doing this, and it was quite clear that from Celia and Louis, they are really like going for the aesthetics, and Max is providing more about you know the concept part, but still like I didn't feel that it wasn't that like strong enough. Maybe I mean, I'm sure he has ideas, but it was not really expressed in the artist talk. Or maybe
But
I
this
was
is
just
good.
missing.
Like, I mean, I think this what you said that this is a tool. I would agree. I haven't seen it, but based on what we were talking, I would agree with you that it's a tool. And then I guess I could understand from being an artist that because I also remember when I was studying and I was proposing things for my degree. Like then Peter was sometimes saying like, is this a tool? And, they were asking me, what is the
Mm,
outcome? Is it a performance? Is it an artifact? Is it a documentation? Is it a tool? They were pushing me into that corner. And when they were talking about like being a the tool idea of my doing, I didn't like it. So I could imagine that from an artistic point of view, especially coming from art, like art and technicians are not the same. I mean, the way how like you experience things. So I could imagine that could be, I guess, maybe at first sight, like seen as this is not artistically enough. But in the other hand, I think it could be completely fine if it's just a tool, say maybe you the intention was working to a work piece, but what if naturally the thing becomes a tool that can facilitate things for other people? Then great, right?
yeah, yeah. Actually, I had like opposite, like, well, not opposite, but like I was saying from like other direction that because my PhD is about making a tool, right? Like I, so basically it's about making online platform for dancers to journal and others can remix, which is still like a vague idea, but something like I'm seeing like iDoc.de, but remixable, for example, that people can write about it or put up the material. But then like, does it have to be functional? Like I had a conversation with Max yesterday, like what if there's like misinterpretation? Because you don't have to tell the truth, you don't have to say, this is my practice, you have to follow this way to get my practice. But others can be just, like see like going through, picking up keywords or, you know, understanding it wrong and using it in their practice. That's totally fine as a dance practice. I mean, if it's helps creation for like other dancers, then that's fine. So I was thinking like as a person who's going to make a tool, can it be also somehow like artistic in a sense that, it's not just serving like something like rigid framework or like frame system, then and or like rather I add some kind of like artistic quote unquote components that makes it somehow interesting, allow people to misinterpret it. Um, but that's like a more question for myself.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, I mean, the reality is that how to say this, like, I think because I guess for instance, like in your case, you are like in the early stage of what you want to do, right?
Right.
So like you yet have not been faced with practical matters of like reality of like your things that will, especially when you have to code and just uh so I think is nice and you should keep as much as you can to remember the intention, like because this is more like a close to the concept or like like if we bring back the conversation into, let's say, like Max is doing the concept and the other guys are doing the technical part, say like what you're saying is somehow like the concept or like the dream, but then the dream has to become technical, it has to become something.
Right.
So in the process of becoming something, will be good if as much as you can keep this alive.
Right. Interesting. I mean, anyways, it has to go in tandem, but also, yeah, like there are some decisions have to be made. And sometimes you have to sacrifice one or another. I mean,
Like
that's
and
the
the way who
development.
I think the way who because I was having a conversation with Joe with Flor like yes 2 days ago, and then I thought the way who I understand things in with my thing like my work is these days is that I propose a flow and the flow is abstract, but it's abstract because at the beginning I onboard the people, right? So people are on board, and then from there, like they understand how things will flow, among other time-wise, for instance. So then you get the trust, and because the trust is established, then you can abstract things. But along this abstraction, I need to also introduce to change dynamics. And so one way, for instance, like to change drastic dynamics is like in our case was doing a workshop, right?
Mm,
So how to say this, like because that was a bit of like the so Flor was saying this, I guess that is close to what I mentioned as about like the active spectatorship, like especially when she said like teaching, in teaching that she said
mm,
that in teaching she she likes to think that people are more smart at what with the I mean that she wants to try to if I my interpretation of what she was saying is that enable people to misuse the things, so to find a way how to interact with the things, so not providing them the truth, right, like the absolute truth of how to do things, right.
right,
And in that sense I connect to the discourse of active spectatorship in not finishing products, but in just presenting something that it has different entry points for people to find what is there for them or not. um, that's what I will call sell in the performance in what we're doing, like abstraction. That's an abstraction that is there. And so then I don't have responsibility in telling them what to do. It's them that they have to be active in that role.
right.
But if in my agenda I have something to work on, so for instance, in our case, we have like the artificial intelligence, then I need to stop that flow and then just take the role of taking care of the people. Like, are we together doing something or not? Um,
Yeah, that's really difficult thing, especially with technology. But it's not just with technology, I guess. Like you have to you want to be playful, but also you need to know the rules, right? Like if you want to, I mean, it depends on the goal, what you want from the participant, from the lecturer, but like there are things that you can misuse and be playful, but also you sometimes need to learn something in a more like
but that's
structured
exactly
way.
the point. That's exactly the point
Yeah,
that
yeah, that's what I'm
I was going like that.
rephrasing. Yeah,
That this is all about intention. That's what I
right.
was saying in their work, for instance, with what they're doing with Max and Celia, is everything is absolutely fine if you know that that's your intention. If you know that your work is for dancers, then so be it. Then it's totally fine. You can do it. Also,
Mm,
yeah, like it's just a matter of clarifying intention.
right.
If your intention is being abstract or like doing that process for 1 hour, like as we did, for instance, in the past. Um,
Yeah.
but when you try to communicate or like I don't know, like I say like teaching or like how to use a tool, say in our case, Hydra, you need to make sure that people follow you or find creative ways to check points like are you following,
Yeah.
right?
So it's ending now, but yeah, I think we continue. And I'm really curious about the questionnaire they have because,
Yeah, me too.
for example, they have the checklist, do you enjoy it? And also there is they're asking how is your experience with movement? Are you a beginner or more experienced? So you can, see how the experience vary between the experience with the installation varies based on their experience in dance.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward